All right, Nick, picking up live. Top 9, not a very good opportunity for the Reds. They had their chance last inning, but we'll see if we can't figure out a way to make some magic happen here in the 9th inning.
You'd rather take your shot against the corpse of Ross Stripling versus the all-star closer.
Superstar closer. I mean, let's be honest. This guy's going to be... He's a stud. It's as simple as that.
Had a couple notes on him that were pretty insane. He's striking out the most batters in baseball by one more than anyone else. You know who's next on that list? Take a guess who's number 2. So Mason Miller's number 1, 14.76 strikeouts per 9. Number 2 at 13.50.
Now, this is where, based off the smile, based off the smirk, I'm going to go with Hunter Green.
No.
Wow.
You got to think reliever because it's easier to strike out batters.
Yeah, but still, I guess that's true because you don't have to go as long. You could just, you're telling me it's Diaz?
Nope, not Diaz.
Cruz?
Fernando Cruz, number 2.
You wanted to kick him off the team.
Me?
Yeah.
I want to get him reset.
You wanted him in Louisville. All right, well, that's one strikeout down.
Yeah. Not allowed to run in his last 11 appearances.
I would love to see Ellie just run into one right here, just from a StatCast perspective, to see how far it goes. Oh, man.
All right. How was your day, Trace?
Wasn't bad. Did a little run around. Met your parents. Yeah. Met your parents.
How'd that go?
Yeah, that was great, man. Me and your parents had some fun. We talked about YouTubers. Your parents are big YouTube folks.
Yeah, big in the motorhome YouTube.
Yes, they
landscape.
Yes, they are.
And farmer. My dad loves the farmers, too.
Farmers, motorhomes, and drag racing. That's what I've come up with. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is great. I think that's fantastic. YouTube premium members of all things.
Hey, yes, yeah. I was about to say that.
That ball was laced.
I actually am on a 1-month trial. They just offered me one. It's incredible, but there's no way I can pay $18 a month and justify that.
Yeah. It's a pretty steep price, but you know what? Based off how many ads you see, right, chat? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Google's trying to pay all their bills. And basically a week for the whole entire year.
Uh-oh.
Are you ahead? Uh-oh. Okay. Well, I mean, we're a swing away now.
Yeah.
Now, let's not be stupid on the base pass. Everybody realize.
They did give him a hit on that, right?
I don't know. I would think they would just because how hard it was hit, but the guy did kind of taking a little Olay action there, didn't he?
Come on, give him a hit. That'd be 3 hits. That'd be cool.
I don't think they'll give him a hit because that's just what Major League Baseball does. There's not enough hits there's not enough hits in Major League Baseball as is, so you give him a hit anytime there's a chance.
A's might try to challenge that.
Come on. PJ run into one right here. Of all the nights to have a walk-off home run grand slam, tonight would be the funniest of them all, based off of what I've seen so far on everybody's opinion of the Reds.
Yeah.
Nice pitch. Gosh.
Last home run this guy allowed June 12th.
Well, maybe he's due then. Oh, thankfully he couldn't get out of his glove. All right, we're cutting into that run differential.
Not going down without a fight.
Nope. That's what real winners do.
It's going to be like +1. Reds are going to lose 9 out of 10 to end the season. You're going to fight to the end.
He got the out. That's all that mattered. He wasn't gonna. I don't think they would have turned a double play, but maybe they would have. Boy, this guy he's just lengthy as hell too. Oh, lanky arms.
It's a crazy story. So he was pitching in Division III, was just kind of a mediocre pitcher, and he went to get a job, had to take a drug test, and the drug test came back and found out he had type 1 diabetes. He got treatment for it, and it fixed all of his problems, and all of a sudden he was able to throw 103 miles an hour.
What?
The most insane story. I mean, I think there was a little bit of ramping up to get that, but him getting his type 1 diabetes was able to allow him to be able to work and increase his velocity. All right.
You told me that fell? Oh my gosh, dude. That's the classic example of, and that's what I meant about that Marte single.
Oh no, another 1-run loss. Oh, no.
No, listen.
Damn it, Steer.
Listen.
Damn it.
That's the same situation that happened with Marte in the Detroit game, the opening night of the Detroit game, where you would have never convinced me if they weren't playing no doubles that he would have not been out on a routine fly ball, but I digress. Well, do we have anybody that could maybe steal second? No?
Bill used Hines and Benson to pitch run already. Steer's got 20-something stolen bases. Yeah,
not in situations like this. Guy's throwing 102 miles an hour, and they know that there's a chance he's going. Let the big dog eat right here. Let's see what Ty France can do. I haven't seen it, but I've seen it. That's a good swing.
That was not a good swing.
That's a little out of zone.
Lock it in, Ty.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of hope here. Is he even going to mess around? He's just going to throw a fastball by him again. Is he going to try to throw that breaking ball just to do it or no? God, he's still late. Ty France right now is looking for one pitch and one pitch only. It's a fastball. And he's gearing up for it. And he's still late.
Fall over if he gets.
I mean, he was incredibly late right there. And he knew he was looking for one pitch. If he throws a breaking ball, it's over. Yeah, I mean, here comes that 88-mile-an-hour slider. France might not even see it. Uh-oh. He hit it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Go. 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 He's not going home, Nick.
Now, JR.
Oh, no. I got to see that. I got to see the all nine. I got to see the all nine or whatever we want to call that angle. I got to see that. Can I get some more replays?
To take a chance,
Yeah, what are we going to get? 5 singles off of this dude? We're going to get 5 hits off of him in one inning? Oh my God! Please let me see the film.
Oh, he would have been a dead duck.
Would he have been? Okay.
He would have. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, unless they completely throw terrible throw home and rush it.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, all right.
I would have gave JR a complete pass though.
All right.
If you would have sent him.
Me too, though, because it's like at least make him try to make the play at home. I mean, hell, at this point now we got to who do we have to watch strike out? With all due respect,
Rosario. They're not even letting Benson hit. Why is Benson on the roster right now? What?
I don't know. I mean, do you think Will Benson's going to get it done here?
I mean, Rosario's pretty much like a platoon player the other way, though. It's just, is Will that far out of? I
feel like that's one way to get yourself fired is pinch hitting Will Benson with the game on the line.
It was his spot. He pinch ran. Like his spot was up.
They pinch hit Rosario.
They pinch hit Rosario against a right-handed pitcher.
And that just shows you the confidence they have in him.
I mean, if I'm Mason Miller, though, I'm walking Rosario, though.
No, you don't want to walk him because then you have to throw strikes at that point.
Resigns. If resigns.
It's a grand slam. Oh, it's going to be over. It's going to be over.
150.
It's going to be over. It's going to be over. Hines was the guy we needed all along, and we got rid of him. Is it a ball, Nick? Oh, it's right down the middle. He can't hit this, dude. Let's be honest. I mean, these balls are in the catcher's mitt by the time these guys are. All right. I got one thing I want to get out. I got one thing I want to get off my chest. You're going to have to wait.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the world. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Win. Line to right field. Genius. The first run ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Trey Bruce.
All right, Nick. We have a losing edition of Chatterbox Reds. One in which I don't know what to make of it. The last 30 days of this season are going to be the most difficult to try to put on an appearance or put off a vibe that I think is appropriate, because if I get upset about something, then ultimately it looks like, who is this guy? I mean, for God's sakes, they're out of the race. It means next to nothing. And if you come in here every night and you're just like, oh, Nick, they lose 5-4, they lost to the A's, ho hum. Is it that big of a deal? Probably not. Where do you fall on that whole spectrum? I don't know. There's one thing that really pissed me off tonight. I'm really not going to try to make a big deal about it because it feels like I pick on the same guy over and over and over again. But I'm going to have to bring it up because it's just on my conscience. It's on my my frontal lobe or whatever term that is. That's just right there in the tip of my tongue. I'll get to it in a second, but I want to try to wait until at least we get to the off the rail segment, which means that we have to do the box score recap presented by you first, and then the deep drive of the day. I guess we'll do the deep drive of the day as well. Might as well. I mean, we'll figure it out as we go. But nonetheless, Nick, anything that you want to add before we jump into the box score recap?
No. All right, Reds hosting the A's for the first time since 2016. Game 1 of a 3-game series at Great American Ballpark. Prior to the game, another Reds starting pitcher was put on the IL. Today it was Nick Lodolo's turn. He was in line to start on Tuesday night. Reds had to turn to Jacob Junis, and Junis, to his credit, certainly delivered. Junis threw 4 perfect innings on just 43 pitches. It was Junis' longest outing since April 2nd when he was with Milwaukee. Now, the Reds finally broke through on the A's starting pitcher Mitch Spence in the 4th inning. Tyler Stevenson and Spencer Steer walked, and the Reds caught a break when Ty France hit a weak fly ball to the A's right fielder Lawrence Butler that he could not make. Excuse me. 1-0 Reds. Dom Smith would, however, ground out to end the inning. The second time in the game that the inning ended with Smith at the plate with a runner on third base. Now, Buck Farmer got 4 outs. Sam Moll struggled. He walked 2 batters, but Tony Santillan was able to bail him out of his inning. But Santillan, however, gave up a 2-run home run to Max Schuerman in the top of the 7th, and the Reds trailed 2-1 after leading most of the game. Justin Wilson came in, and he gave up a 2-run home run to Daz Cameron, the son of Mike Cameron, and the Reds were down 4-1. And then Casey Legumina gave up the biggest blast of them all, a 424-foot homer to Zach Geloff in the 8th to make it 5-1 A's. Now, the Reds tried to rally. In the bottom of the 8th, Tyler Stevenson led off with a hit, his 3rd time on base. Earlier in the game, Tyler Stevenson extended his hit streak to 11 games. A's pitcher Tyler Ferguson really lost his command in the inning. He walked Spencer Steer and Dom Smith. Then he walked Santiago Espinal to bring in a run that made it a 5-2 ball game. The A's went to their veteran Ross Stripling, and he got Marte to hit a ground out to end the inning. Now, the Reds in the bottom of the 9th against the all-star closer Mason Miller made quite the rally. Ellie De La Cruz singled with 1 out. Then Tyler Stevens singled his 3rd hit of the game. TJ Friedel did ground out, but it did bring in a run to make it 5-3. Then Spencer Steer singled to make it 5-4. Ty France doubled. J.R. House held Spencer Steer at 3rd base. And then Ahmed Rosario came in to pinch hit for Will Benson against a right-handed pitcher. And Ahmed Rosario struck out to end the game. Reds lose 5-4. Reds now 63-69 on the season. And the Reds found a way to get a 1-run loss. Now 10-24 in 1-run games this season.
And here we go again. I'm just going to formally apologize to John and his team at DSC, Deep South Commodities. We all know that they're a leader in renewable commodities, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. If you're interested, you know where to go. You've been there before, you'll go there again. www.deepsouthcommodities.com. And here's the thing, Nick. Let's just jump into the show at this point. You know, I'm not, let me be very clear when I say this. Believe it or not, I try to express the fan in me as much as I possibly can. I think it makes for a better show. I think that it's just better for, I think it just makes for a better show. But there is a side of me, believe it or not, that is very rational. You try to sit down and you try to think through all the scenarios. You try to ask yourself, why would you possibly do that? Well, there's a chance that XYZ might happen that I don't know about, and really, realistically, behind closed doors, I don't know a lot. So maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, right? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and I've done that. I have done that time and time again with David Bell. I really have. And I'm not expecting the folks down there that have the media credentials and they have their big J journalist jobs to ask hard-hitting questions every single day, right? Because it becomes at some point a little overbearing. You feel like you have an agenda. You certainly don't want to try to, burn bridges that perhaps you feel like exist. But I have to have answers at some point. At some point. As to why Jonathan India plays second base and you have Espinal playing right field. In what world does this make any sense? It makes no logical sense any way you break it down. I've sat on the couch tonight and I try to think of every scenario possible. And they all fall short of what should be reality, which is the best players play at the positions that helps the team with the best chance of winning. If the answer is, why is Marte playing? I have a semblance of a reason. I'm not saying it's a good reason, but I can give you a reason, and that is he's a top prospect. He was a top prospect. He got suspended. We need to play him as much as humanly possible at that position that we thought he was going to be a cornerstone piece for our franchise for. So we have to give him opportunities. And we know that he's probably not the best person for the job right now, but we at least just got to see more of it. Just in case he blooms into something that we don't want to, just brush him off because we only gave him 10 games in 2024 in a season that we weren't going anywhere anyways. But to continue to run out somebody that you have an open position. It's not like you have three guys in the outfield right now that are playing so damn well that you just can't move them because, quite frankly, it would be disrespectful to the outfielders to have to make them move just because someone might have to play there to get some experience. No. We're playing a guy that's never played outfield in his life in the outfield. And it just so happens to be the guy that's probably outside of Elly De La Cruz. That's not a probably. Outside of Elly De La Cruz, he is the best infielder that we have. It's not even a debate. And yet we continue to run him out there in the outfield now. When we have a guy at second base, again, with all due respect, Jonathan India's gotten better. I'm not taking anything away from Jonathan India. This is not about Jonathan India. This is about just having some semblance of a plan, some semblance of a rationale as to why we do things and why we don't do things. You want to get into why Will Benson got pinch hit for later? We can do that next. But my question is tonight, it might not seem like a big deal because over the course of 9 innings in this game, a lot of things happen. It's an A's game versus the Reds on August 27th. Both of them are out of the race. Maybe it's a meaningless point. Maybe it doesn't matter at all. But if Jonathan India runs that ball down tonight and catches that ball like he probably should have, we're not having this discussion. We might have won the game. And those are the difference makers in these one-run games. And I know that they came back and they made it a one-run game, and we can sit there. And to a certain extent, I trust me, I understand. I'm not trying to scoff at the idea that they lose another one-run game. But Nick, I will openly admit, I've tried to defend David Bell how many times? A ton. Of saying, well, we're not sure about what the availability of this guy and that guy were, so we don't really know. I just would openly ask David, what is the purpose of playing somebody from a perception standpoint, from a statistic standpoint, from a futurability of where they might play standpoint, of playing Jonathan India? The only answer he's going to have is that he's been there before and he's their leader and he thinks he's playing good second base. And that's a terrible excuse for a reason. And I don't know when that's going to change, but if they continue to hide behind, Nick, the last thing I'm going to say, if they continue, this organization continues to hide behind things like being a fan favorite, like being, they basically have grandfathered into this position and no one's really excellent at it, so we're not going to push him out. I don't give a damn. I want the best players put in the position where they should play to help the team win. I don't care about feelings. I'm over the culture. I'm done with all of that. I just want to play guys where they're supposed to play and let it be where it may. Because I got news for you. We can coddle Will Benson all year long. All we want. It ain't helped a damn bit. It hasn't helped a single bit. He's been terrible from the start all the way to the finish. These guys either need to be big leaguers or they're not. And we need to stop coddling everybody and thinking, well, if we move them here, move them there, it might ruin him. Well, you didn't do that to Spencer Steer. He's all over the damn place, and he's the only guy that's been semi-reliable on an everyday standpoint for 2 years now. So I don't know. That's one play tonight pissed me off. You have to catch that ball in right center field as a second baseman. Point blank.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier, I thought the Reds' biggest mistake this year was that they backed off on Jonathan India being a utility player. The first sign they had an opportunity to, and they had McLean hurt and Marte suspended. So, yeah, I think it was a mistake then. And what's the plan with Jonathan India? Like,
They don't have one.
They
don't have one. They don't have one.
Like, I guess like the only rational thing would be, well, maybe we can, if we keep it second base, we could trade him this offseason. We've been trying to trade this guy for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, he's ours, and you got to find the best way to use him, which I think he could really be a valuable player. I mean, I guess I get like not wanting to move him to the outfield in the middle of the season, but then why the hell are you picking up Dom Smith? Just let India DH the rest of the year, and like, because what message? It's not really. They're not even really being fair to India, because what message are you sending this guy? Well, we're gonna play all year at second base all year, and then we're off season. But we're gonna move you back to that utility position we talked about. It's kind of a weird spot, and I don't get what they're doing with Will Benson. Either send Will Benson to AAA or play him.
Yeah, that's
why
fair.
are you pinch hitting Ahmed Rosario against a right-handed pitcher? If Will Benson is not able to hit in that spot, send him down to AAA. Give him a chance to grow. Give him a chance to improve.
Yeah, you know, when you come out and you directly say fire this guy, fire that guy, fire the front office doesn't care, the ownership group doesn't care. Those are damning comments, and I don't make those comments, and I don't want to make those comments, and I'm still not going to make that comment yet because I genuinely don't know these folks. But the whole David Bell thing, like right now, he's got it. He's got to put his foot in the ground and have like some semblance of a strategy that makes even some semblance of sense. And I don't know whether he's making out the line. And this is going down to the weeds tonight. I don't feel like doing that. But like, who's making the decisions? Is Nick Kroll saying, hey, these are where these guys need to play so I can see where they're at and heading into the offseason, this is what I need to know? I got news for you. Espinal's never going to play the outfield on a reasonably competitive team. Ever. Not a single game. This isn't complicated. Why the hell does he get thrown to the wolves? Oh, you're a great infield defender. You've done nothing but play unbelievable for the last month and a half. Here's your gift, a big pile of shit. Go out and play the outfield that you've never played before. Meanwhile, you have to watch the guy play second base that couldn't hold your jockstrap at the same position. It makes no sense. And then tonight, I know we all have talked about how David Bell and a lot of guys like him and this, that, and the other. Listen, winning fixes a lot of things, and losing makes a lot of problems. I'm not naive to that. You could throw the world's worst manager on the Reds, and if they just get lucky and they win a bunch, then all of a sudden, they're not going to be so bad. And then the vice versa. You could put Sparky Anderson on this team, and if they lose a bunch, then all of a sudden, it's the culture vibes are going to be bad. But Mole leaving the game today and just straight up like walking halfway. I mean, he's 5 steps in the grass when he gives David Bell the ball. Now, it may have just been a one-off thing, but it's like, I've not seen that before. And I don't know if that's just a Mole being Mole and maybe he just was pissed off for once, or is it guys that are just like, hey, we think there's a double standard around here, because we can't be the only guys that think about this. We cannot be the only people that think about this. I'm not like, we're 2 guys that sit in our basements. We talk about the Reds. We put out a good podcast, we think. But the reality is that there's a lot of other smart baseball minds that are not only playing the game, but are also in the front office staff. They can't possibly see what happened tonight and think to themselves, like, this makes good sense. Let's play our best infielder in the outfield. Meanwhile, our infielder, we thought we were going to have to play him in the outfield. And in fact, he was getting some reps in the outfield in spring training before our second baseman went down. And then all of a sudden we had to force him back in the infield. This seems like a perfect scenario, a crappy one at that, but a perfect scenario, Nick, to make the excuse to say we want to give some reps to some guys. We know we're putting them in a tough position, but we really need to give reps to Jonathan India in some places in which we might have some use for him in the future. Otherwise, we're just wasting our time. We're wasting time for guys to get opportunities to do things that they might help us do in the future. And Espinal's never going to play the outfield, and India might play the outfield. So that's my only thing. And I know I'm stuck on that one point, but it's like that has to be answered by somebody, and I want to know what that answer is. I know. I'm done with that topic, by the way.
Yeah. I'm with you on India, but I've been with you on that all year, so I'm not going to continue to just belabor it. I think they made a mistake early in the year. I think they set a bad tone for that whole situation, and now I don't know if they feel like they backed themselves into a corner, but at some point you got to
you can't be scared of your kids.
This is our plan going forward. Like
if you're scared of your kids, you're a terrible parent. And I really hope I don't tell people in their cars right now they're a terrible parent. But if you are scared to tell your kids something, I really don't want to tell them they're not allowed to go to Johnny's tonight because it'd break their heart. Well, I'm just going to let them go to Johnny's because I don't want to hurt their feelings, even though I know they shouldn't because of a really very valid point. You're a terrible parent. You're a terrible front office executive. You're a terrible manager if you don't want to go to Jonathan India's locker, even though he's even though he's been everything he's been for this team, and tell him, hey, this is where we think you're going to probably play. We're going to start to do this now. Because last year, remember, it was his agent, right? Scott Boras said, well, we really despise teams that move guys in the middle of the season because they can get hurt. And here's my anecdotal example that happened one time out of 20 other guys that have probably done it. But since that one guy got hurt, we'll make it a big deal. Okay, well, what about Espinal? Do we not care about his health? Steer? Do we not care about him? So those answers are gone now. It's just, we can't be scared of I don't know if we are, Nick, to be very clear. We can't be scared of telling guys the truth, even if it pisses them off, because they'll get over it if you can find a way to win games.
Some of the moves, though, Trace, that have been made over the last week, there's going to be people that are going to like what I'm about to say, but it makes me almost think that David Bell does think his job's on the line. Like pinch hitting Amed Rosario, I still don't even think Amed Rosario actually gives you a better chance of winning. The guy has a sub 700 career OPS against right-handed pitching. But that's the kind of move that makes you feel like you have to try to win right now. Because but it's almost like you're treating two players completely different. Like you're coddling Will Benson. Well, we're not going to put Will Benson in that tough spot
right
against Mason Miller.
Yeah.
But we're going to throw Santiago Espinal out in right field.
Right. Or you make Rosario hit. With Rosario isn't put in a tough spot. He's put in a bad spot because you don't want to do what? There's so many questions that need to be answered that they're not going to answer straight. But again, I know that the people that have kind of the pedigree down there, they're not going to go in there with raging full of fire to have these questions answered. And I'll this is the first time after tonight, I'm going to say it out loud. This is the first time tonight I don't care what happens anymore either. I had a semblance of hope that David Bell would come back because I do think that I would like there to be some semblance of consistency in regards to kind of what these young core guys are used to, and you don't want to. And again, I just keep going back to last year and believing what I saw, which was I thought I saw, for the most part, a very good team that had a lot of young players that if they were given a chance to do that all year long, they would have made the postseason. But instead, they kind of kicked the can down the road on a lot of these young guys until they were so bad from a record standpoint, they just couldn't catch up. They couldn't dig themselves out of the hole. But then this year's been so bad. Now, I guess I'll openly just say, at this point, I don't care what happens with the manager position. I just don't. I would continue to fight for David Bell if he made hard decisions with the lineup that just said, you know what, these aren't fan favorite moves probably, but it's what's best for the team to win right now. That would make sense. But he's not doing that. He has not done that a couple times of late. I don't know what the sticking point is, but, you know, I'm not saying I was excited, Nick, last year that they moved on from Joey Votto, but, like, I'll openly just say, like, I actually thought that for the first time they weren't letting emotions influence or cloud their judgment when making a baseball decision. And it's just like everything I thought we got past, we're right back in the same hole with not putting guys in the best position to succeed because of feelings, I think. That's my only rationalization as to what I'm watching. And again, I'm not trying to get over the moon here on August 27th, 2024, about a 5-4 loss to the A's. I only care about the culture. I only care about what the direction looks like. I only care about what accountability looks like. And I feel like right now we're just all over the place with mixed messages everywhere.
Yeah.
So, all right. Jumping into tonight's game, I know we have off the rails. Do you have anything to add from that perspective? It kind of was like it wasn't a pretty game. But from both teams, by the way. This game was like, hey, let's see who can help the other team win more. And it just turns out the Reds were the winning team in that game.
Yeah. Just this pitching where it's at right now, it's gonna be a long 30 games, Trace.
Yeah, well, I mean, not only that, we had one run going into the ninth.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I'm more confident that the offense will be competent. It's going to be inconsistent like it's been all year, but like the offense was a bad night. I think they're going to have some good games over the next 30. There's enough decent players, but the pitching right now, just oh man, I think we're going to have a lot of ugly games.
I agree. You know what? I'm okay with ugly games, Nick. I am, because I know the state and the position that this team's in. I'm not okay with just throwing guys out there and putting themselves, putting certain players in positions that they're not capable, not capable, but they're less capable of succeeding in when we know that there's a better alternative. Like it makes no sense. I can't get over it. I just can't get over it because it just goes back to the same. It all has a DNA trait of what got us in this mess in the first place. And that's what pisses me off so bad. We hold on to all these guys. We get in love. We fall in love with Jay Bruce. We fall in love with Todd Frazier. We fall in love with all these guys. And like, with all due respect, you got to be smarter as a franchise with these players, even if the fan base loves them. I don't care. I'm a part of the fan base, Nick. I don't care about the fan base. I don't give a damn about what the fan base thinks. Why if that, maybe they don't care either, but I just would say that can never, not a single second, enter the minds of anybody, not a single person in the Reds organization, about what they should or should not do when it comes to personnel on the field. And I feel like, I got to be honest, I feel like it is right now. I feel like it is. And that's a shame. Simple as that. Sam Moll, Santillan, Justin Wilson, not ideal.
No, tough nights all around. Moll's been so good for so long, whatever, bad night for him. Santillan, you're kind of like, all right, is he starting to, maybe, I don't know. I still have confidence. Justin Wilson, though, I don't know how much confidence I have left in him.
None.
He's one of those pitchers that you look at his numbers and you're like, how are his numbers that decent?
It's like Alex Young.
It's a good cop.
Yeah.
It's a good cop.
Which, by the way, we traded Alex Young, and then he was DFA'd like 5 minutes later. That shows you how much confidence I have in Justin Wilson to comp. That's the comp I gave.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jacob Junis, you want to go to him? He was good.
Yeah, he pitched really well. I mean, he's an interesting player to watch the rest of the way, just because the Reds do have him under control next year. It's an interesting contract. I think it's a $7 million option next year, but it's a mutual option. But it's a little bit different than your typical mutual option, which is a $3 million buyout. So it seems like probably would make sense in Junis's case for him to say, yeah, I mean, I'm going to do that. I don't know. I mean, basically, is Junis worth $4 million next year? That's kind of, I guess, the question, because you're going to pay him $3 million to walk
Right.
away. And I mean, I'm trending towards, yeah, he probably is. I mean, just as a guy that, especially if you lose Nick Martinez, or if Nick Martinez is more of a starter, hell, maybe you can even have both of them. I don't think you can have too many of these guys that can throw you 2 to 3 innings at a time. I think it just protects these other guys from wearing down over the course of the season. So I'm not like completely 100% sold on Jacob Junis because of this start tonight, but it was definitely a positive, and there's been some positive stuff positive outings from him that have made me think, yeah, he could actually be a part of 2025 if he can, finish this year strong.
I think you nailed it on the head at the very end right there. That's what I was going to say. I think he doesn't even need to finish strong, I would say. I think he needs to finish, what we would call above average and or just average. And I think he'll find a spot on this team next year. Martinez, you bring up an excellent point. You could, many people try to compare the two of them, especially when they heard that Junis was coming over at the deadline. They thought that was just an obvious sign that, that maybe Martinez was packing or heading somewhere. Turned out it wasn't. I love Martinez. I'll openly say that. I think Martinez has got the goods to play on any competitive team that's looking to go to the postseason. Would love to have Nick Martinez, just from a culture standpoint, from a vibe standpoint, and from just how damn good he is, because he is that good. So we'll see what ends up happening not deadline, but this offseason with Junis. But I would suspect that he's back. If I had to bet on it, I'd say he is. But we shall find out. They got a lot of decisions to make this offseason, and I don't envy them, to be quite frank. All right, jumping into the back half of the rundown as usual. Game Time. Shout out to Game Time. If you're looking to go to anywhere that requires a ticket, download the Game Time app today, and you will quickly notice that there's lightning deals. You can get to the checkout in 2 clicks, and you can also get like a little value meter they have in there. You can see the different types of seats that are a part of a venue, and you can get an idea of how good of a deal it actually is. Download the Game Time app today. Use the code CINCY, CINCY. That'll get you $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but as always, thanks for supporting us and this show, and thanks for Game Time for supporting us as well. 988, obviously many of you that are loyal listeners, you know what 988 is, and on nights like tonight, you try to remember that this is just a game, and really it's just baseball, but please text or call 988 if you need it. But I want to say something to that. I always see people say that when you see our show, or you see people that get upset about the Reds and they're out of it and all those things. It's like, the thing is like you can fan however you want, and I trust me, I understand there are way more important things in this world than the Cincinnati Reds. But like, we invest a lot of our time into this because we enjoy it, yes, but like, if we didn't get frustrated, if we didn't care, then I guess that would be the telltale sign of like not watching. But like, we watch and we have emotion towards it because it means something to us. And for many of us, and I've met plenty of people that have thanked us for the show and all those things, and like, we thank you for listening. And there's ties to the Reds. Some people like have a tie to the Reds because their great grandfather or someone that they love, they used to watch games with every single night, or they listen to the radio with, or it reminds them of their loved one that may be gone now, and we're trying to make memories with their own kids. And trust me, there's times where I wish, like, the only thing that I can't guarantee for my own self and my kids is a bond together that's forged in great moments of watching the Reds together. And trust me, there's nothing I would love more than to have my family in the basement watching postseason baseball with the Reds and having core memories that you'll hold on to for the rest of your life, like many people do that are older than us. I mean, the Big Red Machine is loved because they've created memories for so many people. And that's what we want. And I'm sorry that if it seems like at times that we take this thing too serious, but I can't illustrate, why I guess it means something to many of us any better than that. So, as always, if you find yourself in a position where you just don't feel right, please text or call 988-mantherapy.org. I want to jump into some supers before we jump into the rest of this rundown, Nick. Alex Brians Harris says, can't understand burning your only bench left-handed bat to pinch run. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the whole situation, Alex, so it's hard for me to digest that in real time. But maybe, Nick, you have a comment.
Yeah, so had Will Benson pinch run for Dom Smith. Santiago Espinal's at the plate with the bases loaded. I would think, like, coming into the year, you would have, like 3 months ago, you would have Will Benson pitching for Santiago Espinal, but I certainly don't have an issue with that at this point in the season. But then his spot comes back around up, and then he pinch hits Will Benson, who was already put in the game for Ahmed Rosario. That was where, to me, I didn't like it. I didn't really care as much about the pinch running. It made me sad for Will Benson that's where he's at. But I think it also said as much about Santiago Espinal as anything else. It was that second time around that really, to me, was like, what are we doing here?
Gadzuk says the season's over. Stop giving ABs to guys like Rosario and Dom and Ty France who won't be here next year. Instead, give them to Joey Weimer and Reese Hines. He's obviously talking about. Guys, they need to develop some. Listen, I would just say Ty France, there's no guarantee that he's not here, and I'm not. Maybe you're making the point that you think that if this team's supposed to be competitive, you're not relying on Ty France. We could have a reasonable understanding with that. In regards to Rosario or Dom, it all comes down to development. Gadzooks, I like if Weimer's in a spot where if he comes up and he would struggle mightily because he's not good enough right now, then so be it. Reese Hines has struggled in AAA. I'll openly admit I was a guy that wanted Reese Hines to stay when he got sent down, just because it's like, hey, I think we're trying to put out this little bit of a small flame that was once a blaze a little too quickly. But he's not been good in AAA. So it's kind of hard to fight that fight, but we'll see. I mean, if Reese Hines is up here, I will say, Nick, if Reese Hines is up here, then he should play. He shouldn't sit on the bench. So we'll see. I mean, tonight's the first night, so it's hard to know what that looks like, but that's the only thing I would say.
Agree. I agree. Like, I think there can be a balance there. Like, I don't have a problem with Dom Smith or Ahmed Rosario getting at bats. I have a problem with them getting at bats over guys that you are hoping for the future. Either send Will Benson down to AAA or play him in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. I think it's fine. I don't think you want to have a completely uncompetitive lineup 1 through 9, or a lineup with guys that are all really struggling while you're trying to develop good habits for guys like Ellie De La Cruz. Yep. I think there's a balance there, but don't have the players that we have some hope in the future in sitting on the bench. Pick a lane. Choose one. Send him to AAA or play him. And if you send him to AAA, have their spot filled by the Levi Jordans of the world. They can take the bench role, and you can run Dom Smith out there and have his veteran leadership and all that great stuff. Just he shouldn't be getting at bats if you have good, I want to say good players, but players that you have hope in the future on the bench. I caught myself.
That's fine. Well, you weren't wrong. Here's the thing. The funny thing about tonight's game is if Dom comes up in those two situations and comes up with a big hit, probably are talking about a different game, but we're not. I mean, that stinks, but that's the truth. Yeah. Michael Rolfe coming in as always says the Reds tonight equals blue, and it's got a baseballs emoji. I'll let you guys figure out the rest. He says the season is crushed, nutshells. But I believe in CBox Sports and this show, along with all CBox media content. Thanks for all that you do, Trace and Nick. Thank you, Michael. We're fighting the fight, man.
Trace, was there like 200 people watching this show at one point?
I don't know.
Like, what is going on? Like, I keep expecting, to do these shows. Like, there's 25 people watching. People
don't want to leave us out to dry, and I really respect that. I don't think it's because it's a anything to do with us. I don't think it has anything to do with us. I think there's a lot of loyal people in this. There's a lot of loyal people, and I mean, I not to get emotional, but like, I don't know why. I don't know why you guys tune in, and it sucks that we got to sit here and do this shit for 30 days. It does, and it just pisses me off because it's just like at some point I think that the seal has to break. I've been doing this my whole life, you know. As bad as 2012 hurt, and it hurt bad. I mean, I remember I went to the stadium 3 days in a row. I remember walking out of that stadium in 2012 just legitimately just crushed. I would take the heartbreak again if it meant that we got to even somewhat close to meaningful baseball like that. Like, and of course I don't want it to be, you know, at the doorsteps of finally breaking through something and it ripped away from you again. But like, we just were longing for these things. And I feel like there's so many people that, I don't know, they obviously feel the same way and they're willing to stick it through and they don't want to see us. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to see us have to do a show in front of 5 people. I don't know. And I mean, I would just say openly, like, I appreciate all of you. You guys are all smart. You're not dumb. We're not good. This team's irrelevant. They're not going to do anything for the rest of the season that has anything attached to meaningful baseball. But I mean, we'll try to have some rational discussion every night about something that seems relevant. And tonight it just turns out that it's David Bell and why is Espinal playing the outfield when Jonathan India is at second base and other things that will come up from time to time. Speaking of positive things, if we want to talk about positive things, Tyler Stevenson has looked unbelievable this season. In all sincerity. I mean, he's been unbelievable. I had him down and out. I was wrong. I'm happily wrong. I'll put my hand up in the air and say that Tyler Stevenson might be, outside of Ellie, Hunter's a strong second, the brightest spot, the best bounce back, the biggest surprise in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, 3 hits today, also a walk. The 3 hits were not cheap. 98, 103, and 106 off the bat. So, yeah, I mean, he's a completely different player than we saw last year. Up to 807 OPS. I mean, this is an all-star catcher, like that, offensively, like that. These are all-star type numbers. So yeah, I mean, it just I don't know. I keep thinking about it. I look at this team and I say Ellie, Stevenson, Friedel. Those are the 3 pieces I feel really good about going into next year. There's some other guys I like. But I'm not. There's no one else I care about losing playing time other than those 3. There's only 3 players right now that I say pencil them into their spot going into next year. So shout out to Tyler Stevenson for securing one of those 3 spots.
I openly will also say I would love for them to find some kind of security blanket, if there is one, either through trade or free agency. I don't know what the free agency market looks like. I've not delved into that yet. For a catcher. And I know they thought they had that with Luke Maley because he had a really good season last year, and they were like, "Hey, we'll kind of piggyback on that." That obviously has not worked out, but I definitely want there to be some security blanket for Stevenson. Do you think the Braves would consider Murphy? Is Murphy a free agent? He's not a free agent, is he?
No, I think they signed a pretty big extension.
He's having a terrible year, is what I'm saying. I don't know. It's just something I like buying low, man. Hometown kid, buy low. Would they be willing to try to?
He's still under contract through 2029. But yeah, he signed an extension when they traded. When they pulled that trade. So I mean, they might be willing to move him because he still owed so much money, and know, maybe you could get him for basically nothing.
It's going to be cash. It's going to cost some money. Are you willing to maybe burn some money that might not work out? I don't know. It's just a thought. We can save that conversation for another day. I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunities to talk about things like that, and I'll do some more research on my end to make sure I'm all in on the Murphy train. But I was just kind of digging through some through some lineups the other day, and I seen Murphy's name, and I was like, yeah, that's not a bad bounce back type candidate. Speaking of injuries, this whole damn team at this point's injured. I don't know. We got guys with sore thumbs. We got Stuart Fairchild now is hurt. You want to shed some light on kind of where this I guess we'll call it a team, where this team is at with injuries?
Yeah, I mean, Lodolo's down with a
Go ahead and say it.
Middle finger. I mean, yeah. Stuart Fairchild, was it some other sprained finger too?
I give up. I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
we'll be signing Nick Senzel tomorrow.
well, we have plenty of position players. I mean, we have Will Benson is a pinch runner. Henry Signs is a pinch runner, so we're good on the position player front. We, man, I don't know how these guys are going to get through 30 more starts. Brandon Williamson, we'll talk about him in a second, made a very successful rehab start, so that's good to see. At least that's one option, and at least it's someone I'm excited to watch when he gets the ball to see how he can end the year. That's about it right now. But man, I just they're going to almost have to maybe pick up some guys. Is Casey Kelly starting tomorrow? I don't even know who they're starting tomorrow.
It's gonna be interesting to see how they handle some of these young guys that you could make the case that they're close enough to being ready, especially with how bad they need help now. I mean, Rhett Lauder is going to be a guy that fans are going to be yelling for, and I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I just know that's going to be one of the hot topic of conversations is Rhett Lauder. I'll also openly say I just don't believe that if you're not actually injured, that it's better for you to not play. I mean, just that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And like if it's true that Hunter Green genuinely just hit his elbow on a corner on a corner cabinet and he's got a bruised elbow, and that's kind of where all this went from, and we try to make it out to be that it wasn't that. We wanted to act like it was something because he was throwing and now his arm's a little sore. Well, that might be true when you smoke your elbow on the corner of a cabinet. If that's the case, Nick, Hunter Green has to keep pitching. Like that's just part of your job, one, but two, like I think that you can continue to find ways to develop and get better. You don't get better by just doing nothing. And I'll also say doing nothing is not guaranteed to make sure that you're 100% healthy either. Like, might not be good for your arm to go another 8 months without throwing a live game. So I don't know. I don't know how you feel about all that, but I would just say, like, from an injuries perspective at this point, I'm all for being cautious, but I'm not for just being, like, scapegoating the season and just saying, we're out of here, we're done. Even if you're healthy, we don't care, move on. I'm not for that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you brought up Hunter Green because I meant to put him on the rundown and forgot today. Because I've seen a lot of momentum of shut Hunter Green down, and I not for that at all. Now, if you legitimately, the doctors are telling you him starting gives him a substantial risk of injury, then absolutely, of course, you're not pitching him. But if it's the same as your normal injury risk, you have to pitch him. Hunter Green is at a career high in innings right now at 143. We have aspirations in 2025, at least I do, of not just the Reds making the playoffs, but maybe even, hey, it'd be cool if they made some noise in the playoffs, right? Zach Gallen last year, Trace, threw 243 innings in the regular season in the playoffs. Hunter Green is 100 innings away from that. So just to say, yep, shut him down, he's good. I mean,
yeah,
and again, 3 starts isn't going to get him to that level, but it's going to get him at least a little closer. I mean, at least he can get up to maybe 160, and at least you can, be a little closer to that. But man, that's so far away from what it takes to be the top starting pitcher going deep into the playoffs. And Hunter Green's been incredible this year. But yeah, I do not support at all this notion of just shut him down because we're scared.
They shouldn't. I mean, they absolutely shouldn't, and they shouldn't do that for anybody at this point. And the same goes for Matt McClain. People are asking, "Where's Matt McClain? Where's Matt McClain?" Well, I guess he's going through a series of tests now to try to figure out what the exact issue is of why he's having this pain on his side. And based off of the Reds front office feedback, all signs are pointing in the good direction, whatever that means. He needs to play. He has to play. Like, I just don't see how you could rationalize a guy that he's not played since when? You could probably pull that up. It feels like since what, the end of July of last year?
Early August, I think.
Early August? He's not played in one game in a year. And now we're basically just going to say, well, we'll no big deal. We'll for a guy that's only played 3/4 of a season in the big leagues, half a season in the big leagues, and yeah, he played relatively well, but we're good. We'll pencil him in as a guaranteed everyday guy, and we'll shuffle it into 2025 when we haven't seen him in a year and a half, and just wonder why. And then all of a sudden, we're going to wonder what happened with Matt McLain. Oh, he's not playing as well as he used to. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll hit the ground running. But like, we've got to stop falling in love with every single, positive thing that happens because we're starving for something good. I'm not going to do that. Like, Elly De La Cruz is, and it's sad to say this out loud, Elly De La Cruz quite literally is the only guy I'm going to rely on heading into 2025. TJ Friedel is a damn close second, but I can't do it because he's not shown me that he can't stay healthy. Outside of that, I don't expect anybody to be above average big league players. And I'm not saying we don't have more above average big league players, to be clear. I don't want to act like it's doomsday. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, Matt McLain shouldn't play because we want to make sure he's healthy. I want to make sure he's still good. Is that okay?
It's almost like, Trace, we flipped from last year. So we get to the end of last year, and we love all these players. But I think we all rationally were like, okay, all of these guys aren't going to be this great. Some of these guys are going to fall off. Now we're on the opposite side, and we don't really like any of these players. We're like, but some of them are going to be better next year. It's like it's completely flipped its head. And it's true. Like it's rational not to feel good about Marte. It's rational not to feel good about McLain because he hasn't played a year. Go down the list. But they're not all going to be bad. They're not all going to be injury prone. Christian Encarnacion, Strand. Some of these guys will play really well. Some of them won't. And it's hard to really know which ones will fit that right now. And that's the hardest part is your front office is guessing which ones will. But that's why I think it's very imperative for the Reds to not only find some players that have some position flexibility or players that can fit certain positions and make it easier to move around, but those players that you bring in, I think they need to be good defenders.
They need to be good defenders. Elly De La Cruz is a good defender. I'll say he's a great defender. I think he's a great. I think he's borderline great now. I do. I've watched enough this season to see. I understand there's times where he still makes kind of like the boneheaded kind of maybe play that and he really hasn't done that a lot either though. I mean, he's a solid player, man. He really is. I mean, he's got everything that you would want in a player. Elly has, and I mean, it just you go through seasons of life, right, where you become anxious about things at certain times, and you look back and you think, wow, that was kind of a goofy time in my life. I was worried about this, that, and the next, and really none of that really was that big of a deal, and it was just hindsight's 2020. I really hope this last, call it 30 days of Reds fandom, is just kind of a big bump in the road where you feel like you were in the middle of a tornado and it kind of came and passed, and you realize the tornado didn't touch down, it didn't hurt anybody, and we can all move on. Because right now it's just tough to think about position by position by position and what to expect and what you're actually going to get going into 2025. All right, jumping into the final segment of the show, which is always Reds MILB on a night like tonight. I know that it's a little more difficult because there's not everybody playing, Nick, but we have some scores.
You went long enough. We got all finals, Trace.
That's good. What do we got, Nick?
All right, we'll start off with AAA. Tough times overall for the Pats. They've lost 8 straight games now. They lose 4-3 to Louisville. But the story of this one, Brandon Williamson, 2 2/3, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. This is his first rehab start. Now, he did only throw 26 of his 50 pitches for strikes, did hit a batter. So his command was a little off at times, but his velocity looked great. Cutter up 2.3 miles per hour. His curveball up 3.4 miles per hour. Got 8 whiffs on 21 swings and only allowed 1 hard hit ball. This is a Pirates AAA team that has struck out Jack Sawinski. I mean, I know Jack Sawinski's not having a great year, but there's several players that are on this AAA team in Indianapolis that have played a pretty substantial amount in the big league. So really good step in the right direction for Brandon Williamson coming back. Hurry back, sir. Blake Dunn 1 for 5. Joey Wiemer 1 for 4, but that 1 hit was a triple. It was absolutely smoked over 400 feet, over 100 off the bat. So hopefully Joey Wiemer can get going here. And then Davis Wenzel 2 for 4. One other note, very aggressive promotion. Right-handed pitcher Jose Acuna promoted to AAA. Acuna's been awesome this year, 0.68 ERA, but he's only thrown 26 in the third innings pitch. He's been hurt. I know our friend Clay Stone of Just Baseball pointed out that he's a Rule 5 eligible guy, so that kind of makes you a little bit more of a need of getting him closer to the big leagues to give him a chance to sink or swim. But yeah, I really like him. When he's been able to stay on the field, he's absolutely dominant. So it'll be cool to get to see him at AAA and get some of the StatCast numbers and things like that on him. AA, Chattanooga, they had a tough one. They lost 3-2 in 10 innings. Loss number 81 for the Lookouts. Now 4 losses away from their record since they rejoined the Southern League in 1976. Chase Petty, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, did walk 3, struck out 5. The big story here is that Petty goes 7 innings. Now the second time he's done that. He did that a couple weeks ago as well, so pitching deeper into games. So overall, pretty decent outing from Chase Petty. Tyler Callahan on base twice, extended his on-base streak to 27 games, having a really incredible end to his season. All right, down to High A. Tough night for the Dayton Dragons. They lose 11-2 to West Michigan. West Michigan, the team that is chasing them. So the Dragons lead now down to 4.5 games. They have still won 10 of their last 12. Ethan O'Donnell, 2 for 4. Really the only guy who had a great night. Cam Collier did walk, which extended his on-base streak to 27 games. And then Jacob Hurtaby's on a rehab assignment, 1 for 2 with a double. And last but not least, the Daytona Tortugas. They won 2-0 over Palm Beach. They maintained their 3.5 game lead for a second half playoff spot. Tortugas actually played doubleheader on Wednesday. They have 12 games left in the season. Sammy Stafora, 1 for 4 with a walk, did have 2 hard hit balls. Ricardo Cabrera, 1 for 3 with a double. His double was smoked 405 off the bat. 101 off the bat, 405 feet. Eastman Pineda, he's been playing really well as well. 2 for 3, 2 doubles and a walk. Peyton Stovall, the draft pick from this year, 1 for 3 with a walk. And then on the pitching side, David Lowerty, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He's yet to allow a run in 12 innings since he joined Daytona with 14 strikeouts and just 1 walk. He had a 2.76 ERA in 42 1/3 innings with the ACL Reds this year. Really cool story. His fastball only averaged 90.2 miles per hour on Tuesday night, but he's having a really great season pitching.
All right, we got a couple supers here real quick before we get into who, what, when, where, and why and sign off. Big Z says, I miss being with you and the chat on live. A lot going on in life right now. As always, Big Z, get the help if you need it. Thanks for doing the show, even in the dark times of this kid show season. You can fill in the blank however you wish, and you probably get it right. Love you guys. Love you, Big Z. Thank you. Michael Rolfe comes in again, says, ask this very early this season or off season. Rank your best hitters for the Reds in 2025. I'll give you the top 3, and they're not going to be a surprise. Ellie's going to be number 1 for me, I think. And I'll say TJ Friedel will be number 2. And number 3 is really just taking a wild guess because I don't think anyone is going to be able to pick the third one outside of those two. But I'm going to say
Good question.
I'm going to say Stevenson. Candelario's a guy that we kind of need, and I know we have all the young guys, but that's taking a guess. McClain seems like a guy, but that seems disingenuous to name him. You got a top three?
I'm going to go with Ellie number one. I'm going to really shock some people there. I'm going Christian Encarnacion Strand 2. I'm going to ride with him. I know he was bad, but this is a guy that dominated every level hitting, a guy that was projected at 28 home runs. I'm going to go with my StatCast numbers here. I'm putting Jonathan India number 3.
Okay, that's actually a good pick.
He has the best overall, just in terms of, we're just talking hitters. We're not talking anything.
No, that's a good
offense.
point. I think India is actually a good. That's a good pick.
But that third one, I mean, yeah, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, I think India is a good one. Raw Finn says also, I heard Marty B's take on thinking that Ellie should move to the outfield. I love Marty, but I've never disagreed with an opinion of his more in my life. I didn't hear Marty say this. I enjoy Marty as well. I don't agree with that. I'd also openly admit that if I'm Marty, right, I've watched how many years of my life Reds baseball. I'm in retirement mode. I'm probably checking the world out. I'm traveling. I'm probably not tuning into a ton of games right now, and rightfully so. My guess is that Marty just kind of wanted to say something that he thought about before, but he hasn't seen the progression maybe of Ellie defensively. I'm trying to give Marty an out on that, but
I think if you watched a few games this year with Ellie De La Cruz and you didn't watch it night in and night out, you watched a couple games, you see him bobble a couple balls, you look at his fielding percentage, if that's the only stat you're looking at. And yeah, I mean, I could see why you think that, but yeah, I could not disagree more.
Right. I mean, the play that Ellie made tonight's a perfect example of box scores being tough. Like, I mean, it's a slow roller. He catches it at his foot, throws it from his foot, gets the guy by half a step. Not many other guys are making that play. He gets credit for a put out, or he gets credit for an assist, but it's not a normal assist. I don't know. It's just not. It's not good. It's not the right thing to do. So we'll see. And that's saying that now. Like I will openly say every season you can reassess where everybody's at. You know, if something happens and Ellie gets some kind of weird mental block and he's not able to be a good infielder anymore, okay, then we can have that conversation again. But right now, based off what we've seen all year, he's a damn good shortstop. And that's a pretty important position. All right. Who, what, when, where, and why? Some are asking why for sure, but we're going to be here because we said we're going to be, and that's my why. Nick, got the Angels tomorrow. When's the Thomas Rhett concert? That's tomorrow, Thursday. When is that? Wednesday? Do we know?
I think it's tomorrow.
All right. Well, that could be a why for some. Chat will let us know. The chat will let us know.
Fernando Cruz is your starting pitcher for the Reds, just announced. Shout out to Charlie Goldsmith for breaking news. Who's pitching behind him? I don't know. Is Casey Kelly? I think he would be on 3 days rest if I'm doing my days right, but I'm assuming they probably aren't that worried about it.
Like Freddie Benavidez.
Throw Casey Kelly on 3 days rest. Yeah, I mean, I would assume they'll probably ship Legumina down, and so they'll bring up one more fresh arm. So Cruz, fresh arm, Casey Kelly. Hope you can get it to Pagan and Diaz, Buck Farmer. He can always get thrown in there. Yeah, that's how you're piecing that together tomorrow. We'll see. Oh man. 30 more games. All right, and then for the A's, I got some actual notes that I'll read for you people, because I know you're tuned in because you want to know all about Osvaldo Beto. I don't know.
Is that how you say? Is that how you say Osvaldo? Is it Osvaldo or Osvaldo?
I don't think they had a pronunciation guide on this guy. I was looking this up earlier. Let's see. You know what? Let's do it real time. Let's find it. Let's get it here. Baseball Reference, they don't have a pronunciation guide, so I am in the dark.
I thought they did.
I don't see it. Do you see it?
No. You know, mine's a Beto. That's what I think.
Chat, what's your guess? All right, Reds are going against the right-hander Beto. I think that's right. This guy's having a nice year, 5-3, 3.24 ERA. So the guy was non-tendered by the Pirates. Man, you hate to see them letting go ahead of a guy that's having a great year. Signed a minor league deal with the A's. Started in AAA. Wasn't even that great in AAA. 4.50 ERA. Came up to the big leagues, and his last 3 starts, 3-0 with a 0.53 ERA. Has not allowed a home run in his last 4 starts. Took a no-hitter into the 6th inning against the Giants back on August 17th. So he's having a great year. Relies on 5 pitches, a 4-seamer, slider, changeup, cutter, and sinker. Fastball and sinker both average 95. He has made 1 career appearance against the Reds. Came in the top of the 10th in a 5-5 game in Pittsburgh last August. He allowed the ghost runner to score and ended up taking the loss. Active Reds, I have Fairchild, but I guess he's no longer active. Maley's 0 for 1, and Rosario is 0 for 3. So there you go. Tickets still available. Game time.
Ned Flanders almost got me. I thought he was giving us an actual real pronunciation. It turns out I think it's a joke. I'm going to go with Osvaldo Beto. I think that's right. Yeah, we'll give it we'll find out tomorrow. They play, and we'll get a chance to hear what they say. So, who knows what tomorrow will bring? But tonight, who knew? You know, I tell you, we're due. I'm going to tell you this right now, chat. I love you. I really do love you. I hope you guys know how much we appreciate you. But I'm going to let you know we're due for a 20-minute show. Okay. We're due for a 20-minute show. And when we do a 20-minute show, I want you to come back on August 27th, and I want you to look back and you see that we did an hour and 17-minute show about literally nothing. I'm not sure what the hell we talked about for an hour and 17 minutes, but we did it. Now, you think we'd have to fill air. You think somebody would say, hey, you guys, the next show on the radio doesn't start till 11 o'clock. You got to get us till 10:45 so we can run ads. No, we willingly sat here. And we talked about the Cincinnati Reds doing what we all basically have no clue. But this outro is a lot faster. I'm going to have to figure out a different one. Go Reds. See you tomorrow. So fast, Nick's scrambling. We love you. Have a good night.